Welcome back to another episode of Out of the Blank Podcast, Mike. It's a pleasure to have you back on the show. It's been a year, a year.
It has. I got kind of freaked out because it was
It's
just
actually been 9 months, but
there's a recording in progress, like this AI. Just I remember last time we talked about AI, and the AI is it's just everywhere, man.
she has a good voice, though, at least.
It's it's funny. It makes me think about our Maps app or whatever you use, Google or whatever you use on your phone. I switched mine to the British lady because it's just very much more soothing when somebody's telling you to go right or left in a British accent.
I was at my buddy's house, and his house is all like electronic and all that. And I asked his Alexa, I was like, ask Alexa what Out of the Blank is. I want to see if it'll pop up. And he goes, Alexa, what's Out of the Blank podcast? And then and everyone that has an Alexa probably that's playing in their house, probably just their Alexa just goes and starts telling them it. But no, it actually looked it up and said conversations with people never knowing where it goes. And I was like, well, look at that shit. I was like, awesome. That was the goal. Now I can stop the show and wrap it up and toss it in the river.
Or is that scary as fuck?
I'm more scared at Apple because I had an Apple whistleblower on, and that company, like her whole story in that hour that she explained it is like, I mean, it scared me off of using the Apple product. She was like, if you have iCloud on your phone, Apple through iCloud, and everyone I think has iCloud on their phone, you just don't know how to. And they have access to your emails, they have access to your text messages, they have all that. And in their contract, you know how like Google says, do no evil, they have a basic thing in there, which is that they do take data from some of your other apps. And I was on Pokemon Go. I haven't played it in forever, but my buddy was talking about it. And I was like, yeah, I remember when it came out. And it was like this big thing. And I clicked on it. It was like, allow it to use your location, allow it to use your fitness apps, allow it to use all this stuff so it can track you better and actually give you more accurate data and all this stuff. So I was like, that's a lot, though. Like, you don't need access to all those. Whenever something accesses my camera or something like that, I just go, no. I don't, unless it's like at my actual phone camera, there's not a point in any of these apps having any of that. Oh, for virtual reality or the AR simulator, so you can see a little Pokemon on screen. No, I don't need that. How many kids are accepting that?
All of them, right? Because I remember the Pokemon craze. I'm a little bit like I was too
You're
old.
ancient.
No, I'm getting there. But I was a little bit too old for Pokemon. But my younger brother, who's 10 years younger than me, he hit that perfect time for it back in the early 90s or the 90s. I was just too old, man. I was teenager, whatever. So when Pokemon Go came out, he told me about it. I started doing it. Man, dude, I got hooked on it. Like I started meeting up with my brother downtown Indy, walking the canal, catching these Pokemon like everywhere. I had to have all of them. I had to do the hack where I went over to the other country to get the one Pokemon I couldn't get in the US. Like, I went like hardcore. I take my dogs to the park for a walk. Nah, man, I'm like, yo, whoa, hold up, Jaina. I gotta catch this Pokemon.
I would
But
love
oh
to.
yeah.
I would love to be the guy who's tracking like people's accounts on there, and they look and they go, "This person just went from the USA to China in an hour." Either we're dealing with one of those X-Men, or this guy is using a hacked app.
They were good hacks, man. You had to go through, obviously, just look it up, and you go through about like 4 or 5 steps, and then you're like, let's say there was only a Pokemon you could catch like in California or something, and you do the hack, and you're literally you pick where you put like coordinates in there, like latitude, longitude, but you look up all that stuff, and then you put it in there, and I'm in San Francisco. Like literally, I'm just somewhere in San Francisco. I'm walking down, and you have your joystick. You can walk down the street, hit the Pokestops, the Pokemon pop up just like you were physically in San Francisco. Yeah, it's crazy. But I got them. I got all the fucking Pokemon.
I
I told
got
you,
him.
I
I got
got
every
them.
damn last one of
I
them.
got the first wave, whatever the first wave was.
Now there's like 6 different regions now. I just
Yeah,
checked it. I
dude.
was like,
There's
damn.
there's so many, and I don't have enough storage now because I logged in like a couple weeks ago or whatever. Yeah, my storage is full. There's like 6 waves of them now. I'm missing a bazillion of them, and I would have to get rid of like 100 of
It's
them.
fun if you're bored, but I just don't have the minutes in the day. Like when you're a kid and you don't have any work or you don't have anything like that, that's fine. And I know you're saying, well, you're still a kid, but no, there's like legit, like there's people like 7 years old that are just inside their house all day and their parents won't let them go out because they're too young. So that makes sense to have the game. But then like when you're, I don't know. See, those get into those addictive things, though. I mean, then you could get down the whole rabbit hole of like slot machines, like people that get addicted to those things. It's just the flashing lights. It's the sitting there doing nothing, especially if you have a retirement or a pension and you're just going, I'm going to play casino games. The next thing you know, your whole life savings is gone. Your kids' life savings is gone. The college fund's out the door. Your property value has just gone to shit because you're just stuck on whatever that Buffalo casino game is with the, you know what I'm talking about? Everybody's seen it, but I don't
No,
know the name.
no, I know exactly what you're talking about. This is why you give yourself rules, right? So my rule is, and I go to the casino every year. Every year, dude, we got some here in Indiana, man. I got one that's like 30, 40 minutes away from me. It's called Indiana Live. And it's fun, but you give yourself rules. I take $100. So now just a little inside with me, it's become my daughter turned 21 last year. So it's going to become a new Ferrando tradition is I'm going to take her to the casino on her birthday every year.
Jesus. Oh, okay. It's on her birthday. I was like, damn, dude, pick a better tradition. Like, that's like, hey, once a year, we're going to smoke crack. And you might get addicted, you might not, but we'll set ground rules.
It's fun. So I usually go once a year, anyways. So I just combine this, right, with my daughter's birthday. And the rule is $100. I have $100. Daughter has $100, and whoever else comes with me has $100, right? Once that $100 is gone, that's it. There's no hitting the ATM. There's no, oh, no, no, you leave. So sometimes, okay, so before, I took my daughter last year when I used to do it. Sometimes I've been in there an hour. Sometimes I've been in there 2 hours. Sometimes I've been in there for 10 minutes. Once my $100 is gone, I'm gone. That's it.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, no. So, and my daughter, it was funny, man. She went for the first time and she really didn't know what to do. So we go to the roulette table and, she's just like, well, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, okay, man. Well, the most basic thing, even, odd, black, red. I said, just give it a shot. And she lost like $80 like in 5 minutes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I hit, she lost. We did separate colors. And then I fucking lost my money literally like in 10 minutes. And we saved about $20, went to the slots, put your $20 in. And yeah, sometimes you could sit there for an hour. Sometimes you could be out of there like in 2 minutes. So she lost. Yeah.
I worked at a casino for a while and I was going to actually go back because there's a guy that comes into my gym. His name's Brian. He works in surveillance. And he was like, yeah, we're hiring for positions. I'm a supervisor. And he's a pretty cool guy. Dude, he brought in a JFK newspaper from when he went to the Sixth Floor Museum in Dallas, Texas, like 15 years ago. And he's brought it in and goes, yeah, you can have this. And I was like, holy shit. So like, yeah, but like at that point, I was like, maybe I do talk about JFK a little too much. Holy shit! If people at work are just random guests coming in, just being like, oh, hey, I thought about you for that's cool though. But most people get like a license plate or one of those little small keychain things that have their name on it, and they're like, hey, I went, to Tennessee. Here's this. It's a coaster. Congratulations. And then now I'm getting JFK memorabilia, which is awesome. But at the same time, it's like, yeah,
you're doing something right. When I even do it now, when you hear JFK, I heard it like literally the other day on TV, and I thought about you. I mean,
I had to take a step back from it. I just
no,
can't.
I know.
I took a step back from everything. Like I'm going through like there's film documentation I got to go through, and then at this point now I'm like I'm painting, which is fun, but it's this ADHD thing which I'm learning more about. I've been talking about a little bit more on my show.
I know before we started recording, I told you I haven't been listening. I listened to like snippets. So before we recorded, we were talking about I showed you my Spotify year in review, and you were like my top podcast. Like I was like so proud. I was like, look, Rob.
Good. Say that without the gun to your head.
Right. It was true. I showed you. I sent you a screen. I was like, look, man, you were the most listened to podcast that I listened to last year. Now, this year, I don't know. This year, my podcast has really gone down from listening. I'll listen to maybe 10 to 15 minutes of your podcast. But like, once again, I changed up my workout routine. So no more podcast during my workouts. I get to listen to them kind of like in the shower or whatever, in between the middle of the day. But I've noticed on your podcast, yeah, there's no more JFK stuff. It's all like mental health stuff. So I'll get about like 10 to 15 minutes of some ADHD talk or some mental health this, mental health that. I don't know, man. I'm old school. So it's cool, it's educational, but I mean, I'd much rather listen to the JFK
Yeah, well, I mean, the conspiracy,
stuff.
like history, government stuff is definitely
Oh yeah.
it's definitely an interest, but I don't know. I got to break it up some of the time. You end up talking about it for so. I mean, you can only talk about it so much, and at this point, I mean, I got some coming up, but it's just at the same time, I'm trying to take a step back because, dude, I'm really just trying to think of like what's the next interesting thing that I'm gonna get sucked into.
It's got to shift to, so yeah, you just got to shift to something else, but something naturally, like happened with the JFK. Like that was a nice natural shift for your podcast, I think. And that's when I started just listening like crazy. Cause like, dude, I was just like memorized.
All right, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. You're
Oh
gonna
no,
get sucked back
I'm
into it.
okay, but I'm just telling you how I felt. Like, just because, dude, I've been listening to your podcast for like ever, right? So going from just conversations with, dude, right? I'm just a regular dude, like kind of going back.
Yeah, and I want to get to the story that we haven't talked about, but you met fucking Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. We got to talk about that, man. Oh God, I was watching it yesterday. Who's like, I bet I could throw
I
a
did.
football over those mountains.
It's a really really awesome story too. Hold on, time out, rewind. But just listening to your podcast,
I'm gonna
when you
throw up.
started
I'm
doing
gonna
that, when you
throw up.
started doing the JFK
Uh,
stuff, dude, I just got like majorly like hooked in, and I was just like, I couldn't wait for your next episode to pop up to see like what expert you had on or what version of what happened that day, dude. I know a lot of people discredited the sound guy. That was like one of my favorite episodes because I'm in the music and stuff, like hearing somebody talk about like sound and sound waves and like the sound of how many bullets were coming from this way and that way. Dude, I thought that was really fucking interesting. Oh, another one of my favorites, like, so we'll get off of this, but like, was the one where they were talking about after he died, and it was the doctor in the hospital about his brain and about how it was like a fully formed brain, and then he got moved from point A
oh
to
yeah, yeah,
point
yeah, yeah.
B to point C to point D, and
It's
you're just
called the
like,
casket
I
case.
just motherfucker get moved about 100 times.
Well, why did the ambulance go missing for 45 minutes and nobody could find it?
Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's what made it. You can say conspiracy and you can say wild goose chase and all this stuff, but like, it doesn't matter what side you believe, what you don't believe. It was just really interesting content. And it was really interesting hearing different stories, different sides, different point of views. Dude, and these are from people that were studying JFK for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, dude, some their whole life.
All right, come on, get to your story. I don't want to talk about this
I mean,
anymore.
hey, you need to get props when you need to get props, and you need to get props
Skip.
for the whole
Move on,
JF,
Mike. Move
for the whole.
on.
Don't
All right,
edit this out.
I'm going to move
Robbie
on.
needs
Move
to
on.
get
Come on.
props for his JFK material, getting the experts,
All right.
getting everything. It was
Good.
amazing.
Great. All right,
Thank
let's
you.
move on to the John Heder. Did
Thank
you
you.
meet John Heder or did you just meet Uncle
I
Rico?
did.
Oh
I met.
my God.
I
I'm
okay.
so
So hold on.
excited.
All right. Let's get to the beginning of the story. So the story
You
begins
got a
with
ticket in the mail.
no. So my wife knows.
You were looking at the you're looking at the box of Captain Crunch and it said free movie tickets to Napoleon Dynamite. And you're like, damn, Uncle Rico really at the bottom of the barrel.
My wife knows a promoter. He promotes shows and puts on shows. I guess Mad Hat Productions. That's what it's called. So, and a Napoleon Dynamite event was happening in Louisville, Kentucky. So it's a little bit of a drive, right? Because I'm up here in Indy. They're showing Napoleon Dynamite, and they're having Napoleon, Uncle Rico, and Pedro. All the actors. John, Heder, I can't think of the other two actors' names off the top of my head, but Uncle Rico and Pedro. So they're all going to be there. So they're going to show the movie, and then they're going to do a Q&A, or just a Q&A after the movie. Since my wife knows the guy who puts on the promotion, they always need help. Taking tickets at the door, ushers, making sure people are sitting where they need to be sitting, and this and that. So we were able to drive down there and be like ushers. I was like, it was fun too, man. So basically, I was working free. Like I said, I don't get paid for it. I guess the payment is I got a new Vote for Pedro 2024 shirt that I have, which is awesome.
Did you get a keychain?
No, but I got the meet and greet for free. So I got to meet all three of them and I got all their autographs. And basically I got front row to the event. So I got to sit front row. But but like it's okay, hear me out. I'm getting kind of ahead of myself. But that's all everything I got out of, kind of working the gig. So we show up, kind of hang out, meet everybody. Not the actors. I didn't get to like meet them except during the meet and greet, but like I was the usher, so I ushered people. Dude, you would be shocked. So the VIP section, which you pay more for, is like the first 20 rows or 15 rows or something. And so I have to stand right where the VIP section, begins and then the general admission starts. So, and then I have to check for bracelets, right? You got to have a specific bracelet to get by me to get to the VIP seats for the front. So, and I was just really shocked, man. Like, I was just like, there'll probably be like one person that tries to get by me, right? And tries to get to the
Were you
VIP,
thinking
the
about how you're
closer
gonna
seat.
take him out? Like you take him out by the leg?
No, but like it's just like if you've never done it, man, I've done it a few times now because I also did the Bobcat show.
Bobcat Goldthwait?
I was an usher at that
Holy
show
shit,
too.
we got to talk about that. That dude's into Bigfoot.
Yeah, it was he did like mention, yeah, he had a
I
joke
know
about it.
he's about as interested in Bigfoot as I'm interested in JFK.
I
He
didn't
did
get
a
to meet him.
documentary. He
Yeah,
did a
there's no
documentary on Bigfoot.
yeah, there was no meet and greets for Bobcat. But anyways, for the Napoleon show, uh and I was like the middle. So like there's three rows. I was the middle usher. So I got the most traffic. And I was just really shocked, man, about how many people tried to sneak by me. And I'd be like, hey, can I see your bracelet? Like, oh no, man, the general mission starts here, row X and back. Right. I don't know. It was just, I think I was just shocked on how many like dishonest people would try to get by me because I usually give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And I thought to myself, maybe there'll be like one or two. And I kept the tally. Like there was like about 10 to 15 people that tried to get by me. So
There
I don't
was
know. I was just like, wow.
I go to this movie theater all the time in my town. Just recently, I like to start going. So we went to go see Fast X, me and my buddy. And there's a guy there that's always there. Like he works every day. He's not a manager guy, but he's like a little weird. But he's a very like hall monitor security type person. So like I got my ticket. He saw me buy my ticket and everything. And you know how they rip the ticket and then tell you what theater you're supposed to be in. Well, he was not. He was talking to a bunch of guests like people that were just asking questions that were tourists or something like that. And I'm like, I know where the theater is, so was here yesterday, so I'm just gonna go to the theater. It's the same one, just a different movie. And I walked past him. He goes, "Oh, hey, hold up!" Oh, I forgot what he said to me. He said, "Hold up, big man." And I had my sunglasses on still because I just walked in from outside, and I just go, "Big man," and then stared at him, and then he just goes, "Let me just, I got to do somewhat of my job here," and he grabs the ticket from me, and then rips it, and he goes, "You're in theater too." He's like, "You know where that is?" I was like, "Yeah, I was here yesterday. I was here last week. I was here the week before that." I was like, "You guys haven't changed." I was like, "I got it," but I get it. He's doing his job, and it might have come off like I was being rude or something like that, but I don't know. He said big man, and I was just like, I turned around, I was like, big man. And my buddy goes, "Were you about to punch that dude?" I was like, "No, I don't get it. Like, he's not doing his job. He's away from the whole thing." So now we're 10 minutes late to the movie because my buddy's like, "Oh, it's just previews." So I'm trying to go see this movie. And I'm like trying to get to my seat before, someone's always in our seat. And then we go in and someone's in. Literally, there were 6 tickets bought to that movie. It was at like noon. And 2 people were in the exact seats that I bought. And I was just like, "Guys, you got to get up." Like usually I wouldn't care, but like I paid an extra
Yeah,
$4
yeah,
to
yeah,
reserve
yeah.
those seats. I
Sure.
might come off like an asshole in that but even then the guy comes in halfway through the movie and he just opens up the door, leaves it open so the bright light's coming in now,
Oh, that's
and he's
terrible.
standing by the door for 15 minutes watching the movie. And I literally went, "Can you shut the door at least? Like if you're gonna," and he sees me and then he just exits out. I'm like, "Great." I'm like, "Fan." And I look like an even bigger dick. I'm not trying to be one. It was just the guy wasn't making sense to me. I'm like, "Yeah, come in. If you want to watch the movie, I'm sure they do it all the time. Sit in a seat. You can sit beside me. We'll watch it together." But the fact that he's sitting there with the light and it's bright and it's right there and it's going all the way through the whole theater. And I was like, dude, I was like, "Oh man."
Our people, they walk in and they kind of just like lean up against like the wall right before you can come up the stairs, and they just kind of, yeah, like the employees, and they just kind of sit there and they just kind of watch the movie. That's what they do in our movie. Yeah, so it happens like everywhere. Um, Luckily, I always go to the Dolby version of the movie in the AMC. So the Dolby, dude, when you walk in the doors, you have to go down a long fucking hallway to get into the Dolby theater. So if someone opens the door, you're not going to go through that BS. But the people coming in, the workers and leaning on the wall and just yeah, that happens like all the time.
I get it, but I don't know.
And I've witnessed just recently, I'm talking like 2 weeks ago, because man, I've been going to the movies like crazy this year, but I haven't seen too many good. I saw Fast X2,
Yo,
which
at
was
the end of that movie, I was like, how are they going to wrap this in a couple of minutes? And my buddy goes, there's two more movies. I was like, I thought this was the last. I'm sitting here thinking, holy shit, how are they going to wrap all this? And he goes, no, there's two more movies. And it's like, I got to sit through this shit again. And because like I don't like those movies, but my buddy likes it. I only liked one. It was Tokyo Drift, and that was it.
Across the Spider-Verse. I recently saw that same thing. Ends.
Don't say that. No, no,
No,
no,
no,
no.
no, no. I'm not saying nothing. Just
I'm
cliffhanger.
sure
Like
they do.
just
They
ends
always do
cliff.
that.
It's just cliffhanger, and like the third movie will be out next year for across. That was great. It was a good movie. That was actually pretty good. Fast X. The guy was sorry, spoil. Guy's driving down a fucking
I know.
damn.
I was
It's
like,
just what the
damn,
fuck,
what
dude.
the
Like
fuck are we talking about?
he's hooking a helicopter like back. All right.
Okay, go to your
I
John Heder,
digress.
John
I
Heder, and
digress.
Uncle
But
Rico story. We got to get back to that.
anyways, so you're talking movies. Best movie I saw though this year so far. I'll just say this: John Wick 4. The movie is fucking amazing.
I haven't seen a single one.
Oh, fucking amazing. It's a video game movie through and through, but it's
Okay,
fucking amazing.
you were doing the ballet stuff. 10 people tried to get
Oh
by you.
yeah.
Then what?
Yeah. I was just shocked how many people were trying to get by me. Anyways, event starts.
Are you that surprised, really?
Go to my
Like when you get an extra McNugget in your chicken McNuggets, you were that surprised?
Once again,
God damn, they gave me 11.
I was just thinking to myself, people are good. People are good natured.
No.
Maybe there'll be a few, but not like 10 or 15 like people trying to get by me, man.
People
like,
are good in the sense that they're not gonna like not everybody's killing everybody. I mean, in some places it might be different case. But in the sense of like sneaking into a movie about like Napoleon Dynamite, then that's dude, I would probably end up trying to do that.
yeah, so you would be like, I'd be like, hey man, can I see your bracelet? You'd be like, what bracelet? I'd be like, hey man, general missions. And then I feel like a dick over and over and over and over again, man. Right? I got to be the bad guy. So it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It was cool, dude. There was people that like dressed up like Napoleon Dynamite, like from the movie and stuff. So like, here's people in cosplay like crazy.
I wonder if there's like a large like loyal fan base like the Big Lebowski with Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. No. There is. Like you said, let me keep telling my story. Like, trust me, man. There is a fan base out there for the cult, cult classic movies. Like
But
Rocky
it's not really a cult film though.
It's I mean, I consider it like cult classic.
I watched it when I think it first came out. I was probably like 11 or 10 at the time.
Yeah, so for me, I was at the Star Wars convention here in Indianapolis. It was the convention right before Revenge of the Sith came out. So this was like 2005, and there was people walking. So the movie came out in December of 2004. And in 2005, this was like what April, I think. People were walking around the convention and vote for Pedro shirts. And so I went up to one of them and I was like, hey, what does your t-shirt mean? And he's like, hey man, you got to watch Napoleon Dynamite. And I was like, never heard of it. So I went home from the convention, looked up the movie, found the movie, watched the movie, and like, yeah, the movie is just great. So that's how I found out about it. It was just funny at a Star Wars convention because people were wearing the Vote for Pedro shirts back in 2005. Yeah. Anyways, so all right, I sit down, front row, which is awesome. Nice perk. Because right, the microphone's there for the Q&A, so I'm able to like jump up and ask a question right away, which was cool. But they're putting the movie on. Oh, you're gonna love this story because I found out what happened literally like a few months ago. Sat down, all right, they're getting that big screen and the movie's starting and movie's going, and can't hear it. So you can kind of hear the opening song. It's so low. The crowd, everyone starts singing it. So that's cool. Right? It's like da 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 ba ba da da, and the movie starts, and you can't hear it. there's like no audio, like you can't hear it. So movie stops, and then it starts over, and then there's still no audio, dude. The crowd about half hour in, and this went on like, and I'm not exact. This is no exaggeration. This went on for 40 minutes. 40 minutes. And shame on them. Nobody ever came out and said, "Hey, we're having technical difficulties. Hey, we're trying to figure out the sound. Hey, please be patient." No, they just kept trying to restart the movie and do things with the sound and just tried over and over and over again. And it failed miserably. So, and what we didn't know was, we knew now that the actors, they left to go get food while I guess we were going to watch the movie. Finally, like I said, somebody did come out at like 40, like I said, it was 40. At this point, 40 minutes has gone by. Let's say it was supposed to start at 9 o'clock. It was like 9:40, and we still haven't watched the movie. They still can't get the sound working. And people are walking out. Like, swear to God, people are getting mad. The crowd starts booing.
Did anybody scream, "Start a fire"?
No, but people were
That's how
like,
you know it's not a cult film. Someone would have screamed, "Start a fire." I've been that guy. I'm the
okay.
wild card in the
Well,
group.
people were walking out. People were pissed off, and people got refunded and stuff.
Start a fire. And it's just like, we're in a library. It's like, what?
Like,
Start a fire. Like,
so
it's a goddamn press conference for the big. I don't know. I couldn't think of a good book name. Thomas the Choo Choo Train. We're not starting a fire.
oh
Damn it.
boy. So Thomas
Everyone needs a fire.
Anyways,
It's a goddamn book signing for Twilight. Why do you got to start a fire?
oh boy. Okay, listen, and I'm not exaggerating. 40 minutes, they don't say anything, and then the guy finally comes out and says, "Hey, we're having audio problems. The actors aren't here. They went to go get food. So by this time, all three, like I said, Napoleon, Pedro, Uncle Rico, they walk in. Dude, they got bags of food. They got their food in their hand because obviously they just went to go get food. They came back, they were going to eat and then come out and do their Q&A. They drop everything. Well, at least Uncle Rico and Napoleon. Pedro came in third with a bag of food. They run out because I'm in the front row, so I could see them come in side stage, and they're just like, "What's going on?" And the guy's just like, "Sound, blah 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 blah." They immediately grab mics, run to the front of the stage so we can all see them. They start doing the movie, ad-libbing the movie live, and doing all the dialogue the best they can and everything.
That's really good, like, just actors in general, that if they're willing to do that, most people would be like, "Oh, I guess that sucks. I guess it's over," and they could just go home.
It was amazing. So it got, if you know Napoleon Dynamite, it got to the scene where he does the sign language. Some say love.
Oh,
Uncle
yeah.
Rico starts singing the fucking song.
That's fucking
And
nuts.
John Heder starts doing everything up on stage as it's on the screen. And dude, it was just so good. And Pedro came in. He actually sat in the crowd and he really didn't do much. But like, it was Uncle Rico and John Heder, man. They did it for about 15 minutes. They were just doing the dialogue live.
Yeah, but I'll
It
say,
was
what could
awesome.
Pedro do? He doesn't really have a whole lot of speaking lines in Napoleon Dynamite. He's just kind of standing there being awkward a little bit.
He wasn't good. He got up on stage and he was trying to improvise too. You could totally tell that
He wasn't as comfortable.
he just wasn't as good at improvising. You could just totally tell. But like, and then finally, John Heder was just like, "All right, everybody." He goes, "We can keep doing this," but he goes, "We're running super late. We just got to get to the Q&A." Right. So we didn't get to see the movie.
I'm like, you guys can watch it at home. At that point, you're only there for the Q&A.
Yeah, they did the thing where they rebooked the theater, because we worked and we knew all the people running it. What they did was they rebooked it for a future date where you could just come and watch the movie. That's it.
Did they explain why the sound wasn't working?
Oh, okay. So I didn't know. Nobody knew what happened. I found out what happened.
And wait, did when Uncle Rico come out? I bet he like came over there. He dropped all his. Did he wait? Did they continue eating their food while they gave answered questions? I would have done that. I would have been fine with that.
Yeah, they basically like ate their food while they were like up on stage and
I
stuff.
feel like
But
when Uncle Rico runs up on stage, he just goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna help you guys. I'm gonna tap this wall and spin the drywall," and a little like back, I don't know, door opens up, and then you got this whole like secret little lounge or 70s style bar area where Uncle Rico's
he
serving you
was a
drinks.
cool dude, man. He
I
was
bet he
really
was.
yeah,
I'm
he was a
surprised he
really
doesn't
nice
do
guy.
podcasts.
Yeah, he's a super cool. All three of them were super nice. Actually, I got ahead of myself. While I was being the usher, that's when somebody took my place and I got to go meet all three of them. So basically, it was like a meet and greet. But the cool thing was, I was wearing my Liger t-shirt. So it's like I have a Vote for Pedro shirt, and I had this Liger t-shirt with the Liger on it, which I completely forgot that I had, but I keep all my t-shirts because I'm a pack rat. So I wore that. It's just a gray shirt, a Liger's on it, and it says I'm a Liger. And I got to, it's awesome, dude. Since I worked, I got to cut the line. I got to like, I would have been shitty if I was at the front of the line. So these people just cut me, but like, I got to cut everybody because I had to go back and do my job. But I got to cut everybody. And dude, I like walked up there and they're just like, "Hey, what's going on?" Dude, all of them gave me hugs. They all gave me like high fives. And John looked at my shirt and he goes, "That's my original Liger drawing that I did for the movie." He goes, "They didn't even use it in the movie." He goes, "But you have it on my shirt, on that shirt." So he talked to me about the shirt. Super nice guy. Got the picture, got the poster that was signed. Uncle Rico like gave me a hug and like talked to me for a little bit. Dude, they were the nicest guys like ever. It was super, super cool. It's just I met Bruce Campbell recently.
Oh shit! What?
So I went to another show. No, I bought tickets and went to this. They showed Army of Darkness and they did Bruce Campbell did a it wasn't like a Q he did like Q&A,
Is
but
he
it
as
was like a
good? Is he a good guy too?
oh yeah.
Oh, thank
He
God.
but I only got like 10 seconds with Bruce Campbell.
I
But the
know,
cool
but it just scares me because I'm afraid that when you meet celebrities like that, they're gonna be like assholes or something
But
like that.
the cool thing about Bruce Campbell is I got to go up to her and he poses and like I did another pose and like we did like this like cool pose for our picture together, which was kind of cool. But like yeah, dude, I met fucking Bruce. Yeah, dude, I met Bobcat. I met Bruce Campbell this year. Napoleon Dynamite. Um, yeah, it's been a cool year so far, meeting people. But 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 bar none, dude, they took the time to like talk to you, like John, the Napoleon Dynamite guys. They were super super nice, and that's what you like to see when you go and meet somebody, right? That they take the time, like even if it's like a minute, give you a hug,
Yeah.
comment about your t-shirt, just try to talk to you a little bit. Once again, and with all the stuff that happened, dude, they were super cool, like about everything.
It's like when I did a cover of the band Pepper, like I said, I did a cover song recently, and I posted it and I sent it to the drummer because he's the only one I think that has an actual Instagram account besides Pepper. And he's from Hawaii. That whole band's from Hawaii, so it's not out of the realm of them being like, "Yeah, thanks, like salute to you, Ohana," which means family. And then I sent him, I go, "Yeah, Instagram removed the sound from it, but here's like a clip of it. And it's the one I sent you." And he goes smooth as butter, and then gave me like a little like one of those like you know hang loose signs. And I was like, well, he didn't have to do that, but they did. I mean, it's not out of the realm because they're from Hawaii and they're kind of like, but that's like they're in touch with their fan base. It's a lot like 311 is. 311 is I mean, they've been playing the same music. A lot of people go like, I don't know. I mean, I know everyone think knows 311, but I know some people that don't, which is surprising. But those guys, when they go to like on the cruise and everything, they party with you. And it's like that. And it's like through my studies or doing my show, I got really into like fame and what fame does to people, which I have a bigger respect for. And I actually come at it with more of a balanced approach when a celebrity's kind of like doesn't want to deal with you and they're just like an asshole and they go off. It's like they probably have, I mean, you have a whole portfolio of them in your head built up of whatever role you saw them or their career or something like that. And your face is much like with us. People's faces can be right up against their TV, zoomed in on you. to where that's not something normal for a lot of things, but some people have. Think about all the people with teenage boy band posters up on their fucking wall. The number of people that had Green Day posters of the band and all this type of stuff, and they go and meet the person. Dude, I saw Joe Armstrong, the singer from Green Day, on a random video on the internet you can find, but there's someone, a cover band playing American Idiot, and he gets up on stage at a
He got up on
bar
stage. I
and just
watched
starts
it.
singing it. I go, that's the
Yeah.
thing, is like when you're able to like kick back and relax and be able to like have that type of, and that's, I mean, I'm sure every actor has, or actor, musician, whoever has the ability to be able to do that. But there's not an incentive for them to want to do that because there is crazy fans out there. There's people that send toes to other people. There's people that send, an animal that they killed. I think Gavin DeBecker is a risk analysis management person, but he's guarded a bunch of celebrities. And he was like, yeah, the craziest thing we ever got was like someone had killed a rabbit and sent it to someone and said, I killed this for you because it's as beautiful as you are. And it's like, what? And you see that with like YouTube comments. You'll get one that's like, I had a whole 5-page thing of someone typing out things about the only light there is God, and then like just picking apart certain things. Because someone brought up on my episode about the trans stuff, and I'm real simple with it. I just go, it doesn't fucking bother me. It doesn't bother me. It's not going to bother what you teach your kids. Who gives a fuck? That's my simple explanation. I literally am like the dude. I don't give a shit. Be trans. I don't give a fuck. But someone had commented and got mad at me and started saying a bunch of stuff out of like the Bible, saying this is a sin against humanity. How dare you say you don't care when it's affecting? And I was like, but I just like, I hold all comments for review. So I just deleted it, but they had typed the whole thing, didn't copy and paste. They had typed it because once you type it and submit it, it goes away. So they retyped it and it was different on the second one, but another 5-page thing. I just showed my buddy, you see the shit I deal with in the comment sections. People don't understand like the shit we deal with as creators. And he just goes, what is wrong with people? I go, that's the thing. Just a good advice for anybody living out there in the world to understand what craziness is. Work in a job where you deal with customer service, or just start creating content and look at the number of people that also want to put their opinion in with your opinion. Where it's like, all right, do your own shit. Go on to something else. There's a billion things out there you can watch. But that's the thing, is like, once you understand that, I have a lot more respect for. I can't sit there and say that celebrity's a piece of shit and I'm never going to talk to that person, because I get it if they're like, hey, fuck off. Uh, all right, I get it. I'm not a crazy person, but I guarantee you probably had a bad experience. I mean, how many times you're going to be willing to sign and meet with every single fan and take pictures with them when one dude decides to pull out like a gun and be like, you're going to take a picture with me, you're going to sign this for me. Okay, never doing this again after this is all over. Like, you're in a hostage situation at that point.
Hey man, John Lennon, right?
Hey, hey, hey.
Shot in front of his apartment. No, man.
That's another conspiracy one right
I
there.
love the Beatles. You know I love the Beatles,
You
and
think he was murdered by the government?
oh
Why
boy.
did they still have those? I went to John Lennon's FBI file, and there's still something, a couple hundred documents that are not being released. So it just doesn't make sense. I mean, if you look at what they were doing back then, the Vietnam War stuff, he was and openly speaking about it. So
Openly. Yeah, he was hardcore, like openly. It just goes into, even for me with with Kurt Cobain, yeah, I don't believe it's a suicide. So you can throw me into the conspiracy pool with even that. But there you go. There's a
well,
topic.
I had a guest on my show about that. He wrote CIA Drugs Against Us. So apparently the girl that Kurt Cobain was like sleeping with or was in a relationship with, that she had at 12 years old, like had to go live with her father, and her father said that there was something severely wrong with her, and she had got sent to a boarding school like back and forth and finally landed with her dad. And they think that she was early like MK Ultra experiments, like they were giving her LSD and experimenting on her, and that's how she got she was using it, and she got Kurt addicted to it. And then when he was getting clean, I think when this whole suicide thing happened, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to remember and listen back to the episode. The guy did great work on it, but he had interviewed the dad, he had interviewed a bunch of people to get this like firsthand information from what was going on with this girl. And they think like they drugged Kurt, gave him like a roofie or something like that, and that's when he blew his, didn't know. Like they think it was like early MK. That's his work, not my, like I said, it's very, very I don't think you can call any, I mean, you can call anything really a conspiracy, but I think there's, through my research and documentation, not just about the JFK stuff, but going through at this point probably 70,000 things of documentation, from Walt Disney files to FBI invasion into Hollywood to so much. I think there's reasonable skepticism to have um doubts about certain official things. Like there's not just controversial because people can't let it go. They're controversial or conspiracy type talks because there's not the whole truth being given to you, which is, the idea of secrecy, but at the same time, like I'm talking to a guy who studies intelligence because I have to have that balance. I can't just sit there because these agencies I'm so critical on. A heart attack gun is fucking nuts. But when I'm hearing a guy who studies intelligence services, he's like, when you get a book by Richard Helms, the CIA director, and he's writing his rough draft of his book. So these are just his thoughts that are coming out of his head on paper before it gets finalized and everything. He goes, through my time as CIA director, I participated in thousands of covert operations. Covert operations is and I had someone explain the difference between covert and clandestine. So clandestine is like that you're eventually going to find, like, people are going to find out, like the Osama bin Laden thing. That went from a covert action thing to a clandestine operation because Obama announced it saying we had gotten Osama bin Laden. Covert action's never supposed to come out that you were responsible for it. So when he says he's done thousands of covert operations, that means uh dividing the populace of whatever country that they're in, trying to get them to overthrow their leader so they can get a new person in there. That means assassination plots. That means any of that type of stuff. So then in the final copy of his book, which you can find, you read the same line. It says couple dozen. That thousand just went to dozen because it sounds better. And you don't go, holy shit, there are over thousands of covert operations. So it's a way of covering their own ass. But like, to me, when I start reading stuff like that, everything I analyze through a legal perspective now. Look at it like it's legal speak. Anybody can do it. Are they lying by saying that they are, withholding information? No, because they're saying we're protecting certain things. So they're viewing it as protecting rather than you're viewing it as they're just holding back documentation. But I can't explain the John Lennon stuff. There's plenty of people that are still fighting for that stuff and filing Freedom of Information Act requests. And the idea that it's to cover, I think you can only keep documents if it's a name of someone who's still alive, and you can publish it if it's like they are okay with it. Or it's something that's still being active today. So I'm curious if it's something in that COINTEL program, because the 60s and 70s, them invading like all these activist groups and trying to get them to, like, the Weather Underground, for instance. I don't know if you remember them. Were you around that? No. Weather Underground was like, they weren't trying to hurt people, but they were making statements. So like they blew up a toilet in one of the Capitol buildings and as like a sign. But they warned everybody. They said, hey, we're going to blow this toilet up just to make a statement, like a public statement. Still, in my opinion, you can't do that. What happens if someone does get hurt? You know what I mean? There's a real big issue with, so I can get where the government sees that. But then Black Panther Party, I mean, they're having let's say, they're doing an organization thing. They're having a meeting at a hotel. The government would go over there and write up a random complaint or call the cops saying, I'm in apartment 23. My name is blah, blah, blah. And then they would call the cops, and they would just over radicalize it. They would say these people are being hostile. They're waving around guns and all this type of stuff. They're not even there yet. So when the cops get there, they just bust it before it even begins. And in one of the situations, they took their dicks out and started pissing all over the free ice cream that they were giving out to kids. So that's a really shitty situation. But that's also like COINTELPRO is like a bunch of and they invaded the KKK too. So it's not like they were just targeting certain ethnicities. They were going after anything that could be an overall threat down the road to whatever the way that the government is running. And that's why I say deep state is like the best belief. And I'm sorry I ranted, but it's just important history stuff, which I feel like we don't really necessarily get all the full history. So unless you're digging through documents like I am, you're not. I mean, the government openly posts about this, and they're just not gonna be like, hey guys, look what we did in the fucking 70s. Now they're gonna be like, I'm gonna upload this and hopefully nobody comes across it.
No, man, no, you're good. You're good. I get it. You say it on your podcast all the time, especially in a lot of the JFK ones. It's the and other ones, you've had, but the media presents like you paint they paint this picture, right? And like all the zombie people that we're just supposed to like take it in and believe like everything that the media like tells us.
No, I mean, it's not necessarily that. There's just, I don't think people are sheep like everyone says. I just think you have to have your own independent thoughts. And I think to really get those, you have to start off by knowing that the media is a bunch of bullshit. I watched Fox News this morning, which I never do, but at my gym is the only time I ever watch TV. I don't ever watch TV in my house. And because I just don't, I have other shit to do. But on the elliptical, I'm watching fucking, and I thought I had a stroke 4 hours in. All the subtitles and captions on the TV, it covered the whole screen. Like something messed up in the computer or something, but all the captions, every single line said the same thing 100 times. It was going down thing. And I just went like trying to check if I was having a stroke or something like that. I was like, this is it. Elizabeth, I'm coming. But I thought I was done. And but one of the things they were talking about on there, which I was like, that's interesting, is that they have officially banned the word, or not banned it, but you cannot use the word seaweed.
Why?
Because seaweed is an offensive slur.
Oh, come on, man. I can't say anything.
Well, it's like,
say anything.
How many of those people that are banning that shit are from the fucking beach? I was born and raised at the beach, and I use seaweed for everything. So if someone tries to tell me I can't use that word, they go fuck themselves. I'll be 100% honest.
We did a podcast. I don't know which one it was. We were talking about a bunch of terms we couldn't use anymore. I don't know if you remember that we couldn't use anymore. We spent a lot of time on it. But it always baffles my mind. Right. And you already know I think we've talked about it at exhaust, the cancel culture. And you brought up, you say trans, right? And dude,
there's an environmentalist student handbook now where they changed it. You can't use the word field because it brings up traumatic past of slavery. And it's like,
no, it doesn't. No, it's a field. Like,
well, it's just called, like, I don't get it. Like, everyone's trying to get on the same level of equality, but it's like you're causing more confusion by, like, does seaweed care if you call it seaweed?
No,
and it's like,
it
well,
doesn't.
it's lumping it in with weed, which has a stigma in society. It's like, it doesn't everything have a stigma in society? I feel like, and you could literally say anything. I'm offended sometimes when people say the word hippie. It's like, that sounds like a slur.
Why? Who gives a shit?
Like, but see, that's the thing. Some hippies, people that actually grew up in that movement, embrace the hell out of it.
Yeah, that's my point. People tell me all the time that, hey, Mike, if you grew up in the 60s, you would definitely be a hippie. You would definitely be right. Yeah, you're probably right. Would have been in the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, fucking Woodstock, all that shit. Like, yeah, man, that's not, it's that once again, man, we've talked about this at exhaust. Like, it's just everything offends everybody. Like, you can't say anything. And the problem isn't you're just everyday people like you and me. The problem is the radical, like, hardcore. That's how they live their life every single day, spreading the message. You can't do, like, being super over the top about it. If you calm down and take some deep breaths and you realize, hey, man, everyone's not out to get everybody. Like if you have a good heart, you have a good heart. You know what I'm saying? Like,
where's the climate people when you need them? Because good God, there's a bunch of fires in Canada, and they all started at the same exact time.
Because dude, I don't pay any attention to like news and this and that. So somebody that I work with said, Mike, did you hear about the New York City? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, Google it. I fucking Googled it. Yeah, you New York City, your fucking skies are fucking yellow. Like, I looked at a baseball game, the skies are yellow, and it's caused by the Canadian forest fires, which, by the way, my computer every day at work, I don't know when you're going to post this, but the last week and the week before, I have a little icon on the bottom of my computer screen that says polluted air. That polluted air is being caused by the Canadian forest fires, which I've just found out about. And here in Indiana, we do have a few spots now where we have polluted air because of the fire. Dude, you're in Maryland, right? So you should have your air.
It was really hazy for a while, and I thought it was like, well, I'm lucky because I live by the ocean and the bay, so a lot of it dissipates into the water. But the sun was like, it looked like the movie The Mist.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just like, where's, like, were we not talking about this? And like, I don't ever really get super conspiratorial, but like when I had my buddy on and you find out that a lot of, like, this is a real thing. The government goes in, creates fires, and then buys up that property later. So I'm just saying, I mean, if that's a real thing, like, somebody needs to get on that and really investigate into that. I mean, the Ohio train incident that happened with that giant explosion, and they ended up torching the fields and all these people had to leave their homes. The Guardian wrote an article about looking into that. And that, like, that's the thing is, like, like I said, if you know that media is a bit of a bullshit thing, there is real journalism out there. But it's about like if you follow some of those stories, there hasn't been a follow up on that investigation. Is there going to be a follow up on that investigation? Who's connected to those things? It's like media, there used to be a rule of not fucking with photos, but they've done it since way before the Kennedy stuff, all that type of stuff. And there's a very popular example, or not popular example, popular photo, the napalm girl. So the napalm girl during the Vietnam War, it's a little girl. She's naked. Her whole body is covered in napalm, and she's running through the streets. And there's a bunch of the. So the cropped photo that they released to the public cut out a soldier on the left of the girl. And so when you look at the full photo, you don't think like, why would they cut that? Well, because the soldier's just looking at like a camera and looking through his photos that he took and not caring about the fucking little girl screaming that's covered in napalm. So is that a big change? The way that they were looking at it was like this would look bad on the troops if we released this photo, but at the same time it shows you what was actually going on in Vietnam. The way that they cropped the photo with the 4 soldiers in the back and the little girl running through the street naked, they look like they're walking towards her to help her. So now you've just completely shifted the perspective of what that is. And that's where I have a problem with a lot of the way the media portrays stuff, is that they'll portray it in a certain narrative for sure. But I think I mean, you can look at multiple sources, but no information that you're getting from anything is probably going to be 100% honest and accurate, which makes it more difficult. So when we talk about mass confusion in society, it's because we're all not on the same page. Everybody has independent thoughts and views and all that stuff, which is good, good. But we also are gotten to a point where we don't have to listen to any other person's perspective that we do not like, which is a real problem because then you don't understand where someone is coming from, which is very difficult. I don't agree with every guest I have on my show, but goddamn if I don't fight for your right to say it.
Yeah, but that's what that's what makes it good though, right? Is to seek out the information, seek out both sides of the information, and then you base your opinion on everything you research, right? You just can't base your opinion off of one thing. And going back to the altered pictures, man, like that's something I learned on your show. Like when you're talking about the Oswald pictures being like, dude, like what? Like they had that like tech, and it's not like they had the technology, but like people had the wits and the, and the IQ to be like, hey man, we can like fuck with these like photos, right? So it's like it's way easier now, right? You can make shit disappear, reappear, and it looks right. It looks awesome. It looks good. But like even back in the day, man, people were fucking with like photographs. Like that, like I said, that's
It's
insane.
still going on today, and now there's a big thing going on because people were deep faking filter effects on Snapchat of dead people, of true crime people that have either gone missing or have been murdered in a horrible way. And I only know this because like doing, like I said, searching stuff, there's issues where it comes to like suspicious deaths and the assassination. And I'm trying to really figure out some of the biggest ones, like the ones that are still considered like the top mysteries of the world are, damn, that one, look at that fucking cow lick. Holy shit. I got to get my head shaved at some point. It's just got back to the pandemic when my buddy's mom's boyfriend gave up halfway through shaving my head. And he was like, I'm sorry, man. I just don't have the energy anymore. I was like, you got to shave the rest, man. He was like, nah, I just can't do it. I'm like, damn. Okay. But so this true crime thing that's going on with these Snapchat, that's a real like that's a Gal Gadot when someone put her face in a porn, and like you can be in a porn and never even start in a porn. That ruins all future prospects of you ever getting a career or of anything, which is like that's so crappy. But then the mysterious deaths, which is interesting. Mary Meyer and Dorothy Kilgallen, probably the two biggest ones. I don't know if this is true, and I'm trying to find where the documentation is. Like I said, I'll tell you the accurate stuff. I'm not going to just speculate anymore of what could possibly be a thing. James Angleton was one of the ones who was in charge of like Oswald's 201 file, a bunch of like weird like US defector program to Russia and all that type of stuff, the fake US defector program. And allegedly, well, he did take Dorothy Kilgallen's diary. We know that for a fact because he was in an interview talking about reading exactly from her diary on like that's recorded. But then Mary Meyer, someone broke into her art studio and had stolen the diary. It was a CIA person, and I think evidence has come out that it is Angleton. So why is that guy at these two suspicious deaths, mysterious deaths, that have never been solved, still open ended today, and he's at both locations. That's, you know, you got to put a little bit more weight into that one.
Once again, it's just listening to all the JFK stuff and even the footage of Oswald getting shot, and you just point, and then when you start analyzing things like why did they walk him out just like in presentation style to get like shot? What, like, why was this motherfucker like surrounded by there's all these things, man. And like I said, you go and you watch the Zabruder. Was it Zabruder? Am I saying that right? Zabruder film. I've watched that about 100 times. Like, it's really fast, but like you're just
Which
like,
way does the head go back?
say, dude, it fucking like it snaps back.
Okay, just
like
make
it snaps back. It snaps back. Okay?
I'm a snapped at someone at work when they were like, "Yeah, you're into conspiracies, right?" I was like, "What conspiracy do you think I'm into?" And they're like, "The JFK thing." And I go, "Don't ever fucking call that a conspiracy to me, ever."
Were you the one that sent me the video of, or did I find it on my own? There's a video of, I think it's the lady who's on the lawn while the car passes. It's her footage, and you can see splatter in her, like,
oh, the opposite end of the knoll or the opposite end of the hill. Like, so Zapruder is pointing at the limo, then on the opposite end,
it's on the it's on the opposite end.
So that's Gail Nix's grandfather's film. She just won the lawsuit to be able to talk about it. I'm trying to get her on the show to talk about it, but
did you send that to me, or did I find that on YouTube?
Probably found it yourself. So there's 12 films out there.
Okay.
So I think all of them have been released, but some of them they cut at random times. And I'm not going to. I mean, do you have? Let me just say this, and we can get off the JFK stuff. Do you have any questions
about the JFK stuff?
Like certain, obviously, you're not going to know who did it, but when it comes to like anything suspicious or anything that I never touched upon that maybe you had a question about.
No, man,
on the spot.
No, I know. It's just there's so many things like you've kind of have gone over, and you've had so many experts on that you've literally have basically covered almost every angle.
I get it. I know, but do you have any questions? So I want to make sure it's cleared up in your mind.
No, because you got, like you said, you've gone over, like when I saw that film, the other's angle of the side, like I said, just watching the film just really makes me think, like, when the head goes back. Like, no, man, you, like I said, you cover all of them. There has to be, dude, I still like the theory of the shooters. The shooters, there's got to be shooters in the front, right?
I will put this up there, which is that you hear a lot about a Secret Service member on the knoll flashing a badge. And the Secret Service, like everyone that was running towards the knoll, and it's like, why would you run towards an active shooter? Well, there's a parking lot over there, and Dealey Plaza happens to be like one of the weirdest acoustical spots. So when you're hearing a shot fire off, I mean, people thought they heard firecrackers. People thought they heard a bunch of different stuff. So sound like they coming all over the place. Like some people ran to the Dow Tex building thinking that there was a shooter in there. Some people thought that there was a shooter. It goes all over the board. But the Secret Service member on a knoll, and I found this separately from the JFK stuff, in the CIA's like documents of like their guidelines and a bunch of stuff like that. If you're reading through it, it's like on like the page 400 or something like that. But it talks about how the CIA can offer to the Secret Service member any members of the CIA as people to help out for the Secret Service to do their job properly, which makes sense, of course, 100%. But then would that make, and this is my theory, I don't have anything but this document to really support this, but I'm kind of just drawing a line together. I go, is it the same thing like legal speak where they say the Secret Service says, no, we do not have any Secret Service members up on that knoll, and it was really a CIA person with Secret Service credentials temporarily for the trip to Dallas. That's in their charter of that they could do that and offer materials or members to the Secret Service to help with their duties. So it's not like they're lying to you by saying we didn't have a Secret Service member up there. That's 100% true. They didn't. But they had a CIA person that was temporarily working with them to help protect the president. And this person could have been dressed up as it. So it's my little theory right now. But I don't have, like I said, I don't have any 100% proof this, 100% proof this. Just a lot of things you can't really explain, and there's a lot of stuff that gets really out there in conspiracy world which I don't believe. But I think it's just interesting because you're looking at it, and if you examine it from a government that looks at it from a legal standpoint and a secrecy standpoint and all these types of things, all this stuff is really good ways to get out of being questioned in court. I mean, if you stole a candy bar and I just said, "Have you stolen anything in the past 2 days?" Well, you stole the candy bar a week ago. You're not lying to me when you said no. And it's like, have you ever done any wrong in your life? Well, what do you call wrong? It's like, I don't know, killing people. I've never killed anybody. Okay, next question. Like, there you go. You stole something. That's wrong in some people's eyes.
I don't know. What I do know is, people, like I said, they'll view it one way or the other, but and people say the film, could be doctored or whatever, but like when you look at the film and the dude's JFK's head goes back. So there's no way that it's a single shooter from, like I said, you can say whatever you want to say about any of the other stuff, right? Any of the other stuff. But like there's no way if your head goes, there's just no way you're only getting shot from it's like physically
There's not enough evidence, and this is when I had an academic on who's also in my film, but he studies covert action. So I think that one brings a real sense to the argument of like not just independent researchers and things of that sort, even people that are pathologists and all this type of stuff. But when he tells me, he goes, the question isn't about is there a conspiracy? There's evidence of the cover up. Why was that cover up intended? It's only a conspiracy if it was done for nefarious reasons. Like, was it purposely to kill Kennedy, or was it just something in the set of like, there's a lot of issues that were going on that could have turned into a big scenario and we have to deflate as many as possible, which means where's Kennedy's brain? Like that's a big issue. But let's get off the
and,
JFK stuff.
well, no, the last thing, because as soon as you say, well, yeah, his head snapped back, so there's no way the killing shot could have came from the back. Your Oswald shit just goes completely out the window. Like you have to, but you have to go down that road and say, whoa.
Ooh, I got
If
something for you that you probably don't
right?
know. I've never talked about this, and it might be upcoming. But
Anyways, yeah, like I
how
said,
did the cops show up at the theater?
Yeah,
So I
right,
found
and
I
that was
found
and
the I
that
found the statements. I can tell you how. The lady at the ticket booth had been saw a guy dip into the theater after she was asked by someone, that guy paid for a ticket. She said no. Yes. Well, she said no, I never sold that guy a ticket. Well, actually, she said I don't think so. Um, she calls the cops because, and when she calls the cops, this is in the testimony in I am digging through DPD archives for this. Like I said, I'm getting very legit with this. In the thing, the cop she called, she goes, this cop car started driving by. This guy ducked into the theater. I think this is the guy you're looking for who killed the president. The cop on the other line in the testimony, it says, we're not looking for the person who killed JFK. We're looking for a person who killed Officer Tippit. The Dallas police only cared about they were only charging him for killing a cop. They didn't get him on the Kennedy stuff. They were only charging him Dallas police only cared about the cop. That's all they cared about. They did not care about Kennedy. So they gave a description, and I think the description was wrong to what the cop was looking for, but they sent people over there anyway, and they arrested 2 people in that theater. So that's just interesting.
Yeah, man. Once again, I think it was the sound expert when on your podcast where they heard the sound on the police radio.
Ston Thomas.
I mean, like once again, it's just once again, man. I don't know. Like I said, it is a huge fucking rabbit hole, man. But I don't know. Like it's a huge rabbit hole. Why is it still being covered up to this day? It's fucking crazy, man.
Probably got some stuff in there that's going to look really, really bad on them.
Who cares? I mean, what's it matter at this point?
I don't feel
Right?
like, I mean, they've done so much shit over the past months. I feel like nobody's going to give a shit.
Like, because was it Trump or something was going to release a bunch of JFK documents?
Everybody's been saying that. Now everyone's saying RFK Jr. is going to do it. I was like, I don't think that's going to happen either.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's just crazy. I mean, once again, I mean, you can say 9/11, you can say JFK.
Well, what other
right?
stuff are you interested in besides JFK?
Yeah, dude, the 9/11, dude, his brother. I would totally love you to deep dive into
So
Robert Kennedy.
digging through my grandma's stuff, because my grandma's almost first husband, and I have photos of this. I'm not going to say his name because I think he's still alive. but was a Secret Service member for JFK. So yeah, so I have the photo of him meeting JFK, and so the one trip he didn't go on was the Dallas trip. So he's been apparently he was a Secret Service person from Eisenhower
But
to.
was he with one of the other ones with the failed attempts, right? At the, was it in Florida? Was it
He
Florida?
was on most
Or
of Kennedy's like closest detail on most of the trips. Just the one he didn't go on happened to be, and you
because
can.
remember, they had a patsy. What was it in Florida? They had a patsy in
There was
Florida.
a Florida attempt and there was a Chicago attempt. The issue is those are technically in conspiracy realm because the documentation that is for those trips has been destroyed. Um, John Thunheim, the guy from the Assassination Records Review Board, federal judge John Thunheim, was on my show and said this to me. So he's not conspiracy. He thinks Oswald did it, but he tells me, he goes, the issue that we had was when, I requested for the prior assassination plots on JFK. And 2 weeks later, after requesting that, the Secret Service had destroyed them. So that's an obstruction of justice. So that's an issue. But then people that are like skeptics or people that believe like the whole official story and all that, they'll say like, oh, the president gets many death threats a day. I was like, that's true. That's a good example. But also, they don't destroy documentation on them either. Like you keep that so but that's the issue is like some of these people fit the same profile of like a Cuban resistance fighter or something, like always blaming another country for something.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I said, rabbit hole city. So was he with JFK in Florida and in Chicago?
I'd have to try and find that information unless my grandma wrote it down. I never knew about it. She never talked about it.
That's
But all the
crazy.
material I have right now that I'm pulling out of like the garage and stuff that is hers is I have an RFK book. She was actually more interested in the RFK one than she was the JFK one.
Yeah, dude, he was shot what, in the back of the kitchen or right? Back of the
Yeah.
kitchen.
And there's another media manipulation right there. They cropped out his clip-on tie that was beside him on the ground. On the magazine cover, they cropped out the tie. Why would you do that? To protect him from, embarrassment? Like that's the issue. Is like tell people the real story, the facts of the matter. That means if you take a video of yourself and you're, in a situation where someone walks by you, says, fuck you, and you just go, fuck you, and that person comes up to you with a gun and then you try and fight that person, that means you can't just crop out the part where you're being a piece of shit too and retaliating. You got to play the whole thing. Most people will try and figure out a way to not, do something like that. So it's like you're asking society to do a lot there.
It's called taking information out of context,
yes.
right? And yeah, it happens all the time. It could happen on this podcast. People can snippet something and it could be completely taken out of text. Right?
Don't say that.
Yeah, it could. I mean, I don't know, man. You, like I said, with all the JFK and stuff like that, I mean, you did talk, man. You like, hey, man, it feels like I got some eyes on me now. Yeah, dude, you're gonna get eyes on you, and not some of the eyes you probably want on you, right?
So I stopped talking shit on the CCP. I'm afraid of them.
Not, dude, I've listened to your stuff where people, yeah, it sounds like organizations have gone after some of your like experts and stuff. Like they have the stories and they're just like, I'm like, is this gonna happen to my boy Rob, my boy Robbie? Like,
throat chop would be nice.
Like one day we're talking about,
don't take me out like a pussy. You don't make me,
he's talking to me about
didn't go out or something.
People getting frozen on Hoth for a holiday delight trip, and then the next day,
I forgot about that.
Got to see. Oh, I know. I
that would be a good snippet to a movie, like a cutscene.
Take your family. You said everybody, all the rebels, and they're all like frozen, like ice cubes.
Do you have any cool dreams recently?
Cool dreams? I really don't remember a lot of my dreams.
I had one. I was falling through an unlimited supply of like, they look like floors. So you're falling into these floors. And they're just glass, and you're just breaking every single one. I keep breaking and going through them and going through them and going through them and going through them. The whole dream, it felt like it lasted 8 years. And eventually, and the weird part is I felt it. You ever like walk into like in a hall of mirrors where you walk into one of those mirrors? It felt like that over and over again. And it happened like probably 100,000 times, dude.
Oof.
And I was like, I didn't think you could feel things in your dream. But apparently, I guess my brain must have activated whatever that memory of hitting one of those glass things was, and I remember what that pain was. So it just kept playing it over and over and over again. So eventually I was falling face first into all these things where I just ended up turning around and just going back first into the mall and falling and watching, like looking up, like it's just everything around was black. It was like there was nothing but just these glass things. Everything else was black. And I'm falling backwards into all these glass things. And I'm falling backwards. I'm like, how the fuck do I get out of this dream? And all I know is I hit one of them after I was going through all of them, and it stopped. And I felt it like I hit. I went,
Ugh. And it
and
didn't
then
wake you up?
you have to understand, no, I was falling for what felt like hours. So it was just this for hours. There was nothing else, just this for hours. So I go, that's new. And then I stand up and I go, holy shit. I go, is it over? I'm like, that's crazy. And then like I go and walk and it's like icebreaker. I fell through again. I start falling again. I go, God damn it. But
Shit.
the dream ended like a minute later and I was like, thank God. But I woke up and I was like, what the fuck is that? I don't even know how to explain that in a dream diary.
Yeah, that's crazy. The only I have the typical thing, man, that this is the only thing I can really remember that's happened to me several times is you're in slow motion.
Slow mo.
Everything else around you is in regular time. And it's usually you're getting chased. And yeah, whoever's chasing you is running like the fucking Flash, right? And then you're just like slow, and you just
Who were you being chased by?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But usually, man, like your dreams,
Do you not know or do you just don't want to say it?
no, I don't, man. Like I
Is it
said,
John Heder?
might maybe he was super nice, man. um oh, hold on. Sorry, it just triggered. I never told you what happened to the sound
Yeah.
of the movie at the right
We'll
because
get
the
there
sound didn't work.
eventually.
The sound didn't work, right? Okay, hold on, stop, time out. We'll try to go. We'll try to transition back, but the sound didn't work because they had this big projector screen and the HDMI cables, audio cables, whatever, they're hooked up to the projector. Okay, I didn't know this. They tried to switch out HDMI cables. They tried to F with the audio cables. They got new audio cables. They even tried to put the DVD in instead of streaming. They tried all kinds of fucking.
Take it out and blow into it. That's how it
Yeah, right.
was.
They tried everything. Okay. Oh, shit. This is fucking crazy, man. Come to find out, the volume
God
on the
damn it.
projector
God damn it.
wasn't turned up.
Why?
And nobody figured it out until like the next day. They called an audio guy who came and was just like, what is happening? Because you turn the volume up on the projector.
That's
because you could hear the volume, but it was super.
This was like this. I was watching I was at my buddy's house and we were day drinking. And so it's like 8 a.m. I go over there and I'm like, I hadn't seen his dog in a month. And his dog, like cutest video, just jumps on top of me and just starts like taking its head and just jamming it against my chin, just trying to like, oh, I haven't seen you in forever. And if it was so nice. And I had just done 6 hours of cardio, so I was just ready to relax. I didn't want to go anywhere.
Time out. Hold on a sec. Sorry to interrupt you, Robbie, on your show. 6 hours of cardio?
Yeah, so when
are you fucking with me?
So
Who
I actually
does
learned
6
I learned
hours
what it was.
of cardio?
I learned what it was. It's a part of my ADHD. I have
6 hours.
So when I post this 2 weeks from now, there's a couple names that'll be on there. Oh God, Jane, Rachel, and Eli Somer. So Eli Somer coined the term maladaptive daydreaming, which is now being recognized. Maladaptive daydreaming is a form of daydreaming that is so intense and so real that your passage of time is completely out the window. So people would ask me, how do I do so much hours of cardio? And I always told them, Daydreaming. I just daydream and it goes by like it's nothing. Next thing I know, looking like, oh, it's gone. So daydreaming, and it can get really intense to the point, like in the conversations we had, they were talking about people that were refusing to go to social situations because the daydreaming they wanted to get back to so bad. Now, what makes the daydream even worse is repetitive movements. So if I'm on the elliptical doing the same repetitive movements, the daydream gets more intense. That's why when you see someone like when they say like they're in a fantasy, like kids are running around playing in the yard, daydreaming or whatever, if they move their arms more and their legs more, it intensifies the daydream. I don't know why. They don't know why. There's not enough research. It hasn't really been accepted because the term daydreaming is not scientifically accepted. Like everybody daydreams. That's what they say. This is different. This is to the point where you experience a whole thing of emotions. You create scripts in your head. Most people do that. Like when they see a favorite TV show, they're like, oh, I want to play that in my head. And it's like a fantasy that they have to the point where it's so intense. Like some people have them where like they can feel pain in their daydreams. Like it's crazy stuff like that. So I got into a whole thing on that on my show. That's what I was experiencing when I was doing the cardio for so long, is I just daydream. Like ADHD is another thing, is repetitive song listening. I can listen to the same song, and I listen to In the Meantime by
That song.
yeah, Space
Do
Hogs.
do 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 do
Yeah, so I
do
listened to that for the whole 6 hours.
do.
I listened to that for the whole 6 hours. So I wasn't tuned into the actual song. I just needed background noise. But the thing is with ADHD, hold on. The thing with ADHD is that when you're listening to something repetitively, and how they can do that is because it balances out the many stimulations you're already experiencing by causing you to focus in on one, which it somehow like levels you out. Like caffeine for me brings me down. So I'll actually get sleepy when I drink caffeine. So it's different and it's opposite. And for the longest time, it wasn't accepted. ADHD wasn't. Turns out our brains are just wired differently. And I've had experts on the show talking about that. New research is now recognizing that ADHD is this whole, like your whole brain process thing. And that's why I hyper focus into painting. That's why I get all these different interesting topics. That's why I ramble for so long, because my passage of time isn't there, which is fun.
But you go back to kind of like, I guess you can take ADHD out the window or whatever. Just I'm old school, right? And we've discussed this on our many discussions before, man. You're talking about you have to just give yourself outlets, which that's what you're doing. You paint, you're starting to get into music. You deep dive into like
it's
JFK.
not just that though.
It's outlet, but it's
really, but it's really, really important for me right now, and why I'm being an advocate towards it, because there's going to be a child out there who's 6 or 7 years old, and at this time we have access. They have probably have a cell phone. They have access to the internet. If a kid can't sleep at night, like I couldn't sleep at night, and I have insomnia, it's caused with ADHD. There is literally 1, 2 research studies on ADHD and nightmares, ADHD, like the dream I just explained. How is a 7-year-old or 8-year-old that experiences something probably more intense because their creativity is just out the window still, where they have imaginary friends and stuff? How are they going to be able to understand that when we have not accepted that ADHD was a thing until relatively over 10 years now? Not even 10 years, 8 years, I think. So my issue right now is that when I go and look up a study like what is ADHD and nightmares, and I'm trying to have people on my show to talk about it, and there's no research on it, I think of what is a child who's trying to figure out who the fuck they are. Because I spent 20 something years thinking this was my personality, and it turns out they're all ADHD symptoms. And I'm like, what? And it's like, that's the biggest thing. And that's the only like awareness on that. It's the only reason I'll talk about it. It's the only reason I'll advocate for it. That's one of my hard lines right now, is like, we got to start like acknowledging some of this stuff, because I got to think of like what are people in other lives, children that are growing up. I don't even have kids, but damn, dude, imagine being a kid trying to figure out what the hell's going on with you, and you have no resources to be able to find. And what? Because academia was like, we don't want to fund that study because it's not recognized. Well, fuck off. Fund it. What do you guys care about? NASA's spending 700 something $billion every 6 months for shit I don't even know what they're doing.
Right. I don't know, man. I just think like I said, no, I can buy into some of that stuff, but like honestly, dude, we're all just trying to figure it out, right?
100%.
ADHD, 50%, 100%, 25%, 10%. No ADHD, dude. We're all trying to figure it out. Honestly, dude, we probably all have some type of ADHD, like everybody.
Yeah, we got to be careful with saying that, though. I don't like it because I know so many people that go, "Oh, I have ADHD." I was like, "No, you don't."
No. I'm not saying like that. My point is, it doesn't matter who you are or what you have. You can have something else, right? You can have something else. There could be something, you could have something else kind of wrong with you mentally or whatever. Where everyone goes through shit, dude, and everyone's got to figure it out, right? And you got to find your outlets. You got to find what works for you. But it does help to have help, right? Like you said, man, it's hard to get through. Dude, I'm a middle child, man. Like when my younger brother was born, I was fucking 9 going on 10, and I was left to my own devices from pretty much 10 years old on. How I know, like, everything that I know is beyond me, but like, dude, I would have killed for somebody to be like, hey Michael, like, you should look out for this, or hey, you should like pay attention to this, or maybe you should do this. Like, I don't know. I think that's what's important is, having support, man, like having somebody to help you along the way, like positively, obviously, not negatively, because that's what's wrong with the world is there's not enough positive support out there for people. And like I said, you're figuring out all this stuff. Imagine, dude, if you had some people around you, man, like supporting you, you know, or trying to help you and stuff. So, dude, man, I get it, man, because like I said, I went through this world 10 years old to 45 right now, wandering my way through this world by myself. I've had support and stuff, but like, man, figuring everything out on your own, dude, it fucking sucks.
Well, I think
And
you
it's
should figure.
tough.
You're gonna have to figure some
Tough.
shit out on your own, obviously. But I think society or a lot of these institutions that praise the flag of, oh, we care about people. I was like, do you really though? Because how much of the money and funding that you guys actually research into is actually going to better society? Because so much of this shit is not doing anything. And I hate to be like, look, I'm a people person 100%, but I also like I understand like there's important things out there, but there's a lot of unnecessary things that are going on that is being funded to a large portion of certain areas, whether it's intelligence agencies and all this type of stuff, that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's so much money that's being spent trying to find like energy. And I get it. People are like, oh, we got to save the planet, energy cars. I was like, there's a whole percentage of people out there that don't have homes. There's a large amount of people that don't have homes, whether they choose to be homeless or whether they don't. There's a large amount of people out there that are addicted to drugs, and we're not doing any funding for that. There's a large amount of people out there that are killing themselves at super high rates. And we have fucking PETA wasting ad campaigns, blasting Pete Davidson about adopting or getting a dog and not adopting, when I haven't seen them do anything relatively interesting or beneficial to society besides taking animal crackers and taking the animals out from behind the bars. So like and look, these are my opinions, obviously, and these are my criticisms, but I go, for me, it's like, I don't understand why there has to be such limiting on research. I've been on PubMed, and this is where I spend a lot of time trying to find interesting articles. I'm interested in learning about online dating right now because there's a lot of interesting stuff about that. Research wise, like Tinder swiping and like the algorithms and all that type of stuff is fucking nuts. Because I was getting likes on Tinder because I use mine as a shit account. Like I just make it to like fuck around, which there's a person that talks about trolls on Tinder, and I was like, I'm not really a troll. I never go on it, but I just click on it and see if anybody liked any of like the stuff I put in my bio. I say I have hollow knees, which makes me aerodynamic when I fight. So I was like, I think it's hilarious. So when like if we have people that are doing independent research studies, it don't really cost a whole lot of money, but they're able to do larger studies if they get funded. I just go, there's a large amount of stuff where we can, ADHD creates anxiety, it creates depression, and it creates a lot of stuff where people go, oh, I have a little bit of ADHD. I had a friend that was taking pills for anxiety, ADHD. No, she's taking anxiety pills. She was taking depression pills. She was taking a bunch of different ones, like 7 different pills a day. I go, that's too much. And she goes, well, I have all these things. I can't help it. And I go, ask your doctor about ADHD. I was like, I think the reason why we get along so well is because you have it too. And I notice it. And yeah, I was learning a lot about it. So I'm understanding it more. It's not just my experience, it's others. She got put on Adderall and just takes one now. All of that. So it's like you just kind of like look at it and you kind of get this type of thing, and like it explains a lot. And if we can educate more people on ADHD, which my ex was really good at, she would actually look up ADHD articles and then be able to understand me a little bit more, which was like great on her. But it's a very difficult on like conversation style things because your mind's moving a million miles a minute. But just understanding, like I'm not about detailing everything into its own category, but I also think like you can really go not that much of an extra mile by just having the awareness aspect. Like if I'm interested in something, I'm going to look up what it is. If someone tells me they have this as like a warning to them, like, hey, before you hire me, I have this little thing. I go, okay, that's cool. I'll see you tomorrow. And then I'm gonna research what that is. You know what I mean? So I can help work with that person more. And I don't think it's that difficult, but it's also asking people to cut away time to be interested in something that is affecting someone else. And then there's that time thing again, where it's like, are these people going to be around for the next year? Are they going to leave the job next week? You know, it's that. So how much are you going to willing to commit knowing you might have to throw that information out? It's like, well, that's a life skill there, though. You end up keeping that with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, man. Everyone's got stuff going on. Like I said, for me, I'm just speaking for myself. Like I know I have very, very, very bad OCD tendency.
I noticed you took 35 minutes to get your camera situated before we hit record.
See, that's no, dude, and I'm fully aware of it, but I can't help it. I can't stop it. I can't stop the behavior. It's the only thing. It's
so work with it.
It's yeah, man. So and that's all I can do, right? Is be aware of it and just try and like you said, so how your brain is wired with ADHD is how my brain is wired with OCD tendencies that I have. And you're asking, like you said, like right, you're asking me to be like, hey man, you know, you need to really try. You're asking me to like rewire my brain, like, and I can't just like rewire my brain. You're right. Like, so, like I said, fun fact, you know, before we started, like my camera was off and I wasn't, look, I'm still not like in the center. Like I wasn't like in the center frame of my camera. And it literally took me, what, 5 minutes? Like, no shit, 5 minutes to finally get it to where I could take.
I was patient with
Where
you
I
on it,
was.
wasn't I?
You were, you were,
Okay.
you were.
So that's
You
the
were.
thing. It's like people can just do that. Like I have my buddy was on talking about his like what he would call social anxiety, but he was talking about like how organized everything has to be planned and what happens if this happens. So kind of a worry wart was what you would call it. But I go, what's the problem with that? You're prepared. And then like he was like, I was like, wait, are you the type that like you have to put your sandwich in a bag when you go to the beach, and if you get so no sand gets on it or anything like that? And which is sounds yeah, but he was like, no, I go a step farther. I don't even bring food out onto the beach. We have to eat it before we go onto the beach. And I go, yeah, if I'm with you and you do that, I'm like, do your thing. I'm gonna go to the ocean. Like it's that simple. Like the people that want to go, no, you can't do that. And you can't do this. That's why I get so pissed about like all the trans stuff and all that type of stuff. It's like let people do what the fuck they want. It's not your life. It's so simple. It's dude, I've never in my life dealt with so many people that have just been like so anti what someone wants to do because they're afraid it's gonna hurt them. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go
Is it
down.
gonna hurt you? Like,
I'm just
is it
gonna
gonna hurt?
I'm gonna go down and get an ice cream either way. So
No,
whether that person's
no, you know that's like the point. This is the point. Like they're so mad, you're so upset. Does it hurt you? Like, what's it? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you gonna wake up, open your eyes every day, and breathe and eat breakfast or exercise or hang out with people? Like, is it really gonna hurt you? Like, come on, man. Like, I think I guess that's where I'm going with all that bullshit. Is people got to be thankful for the life that they have, man. They have to be thankful they can open their eyes every day and breathe air every day and try to have a positive like life, like, right? I don't know, man. I dude, if you want to be gay, you want to be trans, you want, dude, go for it, man. Awesome. Like, no, you do you, right? Because I'm gonna do me, right?
they opened up
So
a new bar or there's a bar in my town. The owner had died and they got a new owner and they just there it's now going to be a gay bar. And they said family friendly gay bar. And now it's like a big controversial thing in my town. And I'm just like, I'm ready to go to one of my town meetings 100%. I've never been to one, but I'm ready to go in there and go, what the fuck do you guys have to bitch about? Like
nothing.
someone put up a video and we were watching, I was getting hammered and watching this guy or just basically talk about my town. Like if you're coming to Ocean City, and I'm just sitting there like, he was talking about he was taking a video of the bar, and then right beside the bar said number one Chinese. That was the name of the place, was number one Chinese. And I literally said, I've lived here my whole fucking life and I have never seen that place before. But that's a bold. What's your place? Number one Chinese. No, like what's the name of it? Number one Chinese. You gave yourself that title? 100% because we're number one.
Who
So like this
cares?
guy was talking about, yeah, there's the politics of the town. And I'm like, what do these old retired people have to bitch about besides people being on their lawn? I was like, I would love to, dude, I'll run for council. I don't give a shit. I could do it.
So there's this nice saying in Indiana. There's signs throughout the state. It's just a phrase, and people there. I think it's like a blue and red sign, and all it says on it is "be kind." That's it. So right, and once again, man, at the end of the day, people are people. We're all people, and all you have to do you can take your ADHD, you can take my OCD, you can take trans, you can take gay, you can take this, you can
You
take
should have
that.
said you could take the OCD, you could take the GBT, you could take the LGBT,
LG, whatever, man.
the
At the
BLT.
at the end of the day, everyone just needs to be kind. And that was the purpose of these signs here in Indiana. And every time I see one, it does. It kind of triggers. It's just like, yeah, man, just be nice. Just be nice to people. Right. That's at the end of the day, man. That's all it matters is being nice. We all come from different places. We all come from different backgrounds. Dude, we all like different things. We all have
we
fucking
got to be able to say seaweed. That's just what we got to do.
yes, we do. We all have things wrong with us. Or
I feel like there's
what?
bigger fights. There's bigger fights out there than trying to stop people from saying seaweed. I feel like that's a lost cause. It's just I don't get it. You got a bunch of people that are like, I'm about to die tomorrow. I'm not gonna stop saying seaweed.
I mean,
They branded shark attacks at least as what is it? I forgot what they
branded
branded.
shark
You don't
attacks.
remember this? We talked about this years ago.
I don't know. All I know is at the end of the day, you can wake up, open your eyes, and you can take your breath, and you can see your environment. You're in, and you can think about your.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. In recent years, researchers and wildlife officials in Australia and the United States have adopted terms like bites, incidents, and encounters. Don't call them shark attacks.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyways, my point is, man.
Australian shark
Oh,
experts
come
say
on.
attacks should be called negative encounters. If I lose a fucking arm, I'm going to the goddamn shark attack. I hate to say it like that.
It's not a negative encounter. Fuck, man. Anything can be a negative encounter.
You leave a negative review
I
at a
mean,
hotel you stayed at and there was
Jesus
shit on the sheets,
Christ.
but this is like, I'm missing my whole fucking right arm. But this left one can lift like a son of a bitch.
It's a negative encounter. I just have no arm. But that's my point, dude. That's where I was going. Is you wake up every day, you got air in your lungs. You know, you're surviving, you're living, you're going through your life, dude. Everybody needs to like stop and think, like, or try. There's always going to be someone who has a harder life than you. It's true, man. Like, and if more people can just like think like that, they would shut the fuck.
I wonder if I
Like,
Google what words we can't say anymore, what would pop
oh
up?
no, dude, it's gonna be like a 1,000 words we can't say. We can't say.
People just used to correct them though. They just be like if you said something, I'm like, actually, we don't say that. We say this, and you
Right,
go,
you
okay,
can't.
all right.
I was told, what was it the other day? Okay, so I said, don't be mad at me. It was like the sports teams were like like the Cowboys in the Indians, right? And then can't say Indians. So then I was just like, okay, well, Native American, Mike can't say Native Americans. Like, what the fuck can I say? Like, what's the proper word now? I don't remember, but that's what I'm saying. So like you say, and hey, my son. So my son he wears hearing aids,
Is he
right?
still
So
bodybuilding?
yeah, dude. Okay, so you can go check his Facebook page, Anakin. He's got a before and after, because he's been doing it for so long. And yeah, man, he does it. He goes to the gym every day. He lifts, and he's turning into the Rock. So yeah. Anyways,
Just
but yeah,
wait till
he's
those beginner gains wear off. The best part about being young and first start lifting is your body's so new, you grow muscle. Like in 6 months, you could look like you put on a lot. But then the more you do it and the longer you've been doing it, it starts getting harder and harder. You don't even need to be old. It
all
just
right.
gets more
Hold on.
difficult.
So everyone who's here on the YouTube, hold on. Let me
Spotify has video too.
Oh, that's right. That's right. All right, here we go. Uh,
Show off,
son.
little Annie.
It's like one of the before and afters.
Yeah,
Like
good for him.
so, like
Not
right,
as
he was
jacked
like
as you were saying, but
no, but dude, he went from like 140 to like almost
I'm fucking
180.
ripped. You know how ripped I am.
Like then there's the side
Yeah, good
profile,
for
but
him.
yeah, man, no, he still does it every day. He goes to dude, he gets up, he's a 5 a.m.er, so like he gets
Ooh,
up, he's in the gym at 5 a.m.
I'm there at
every
midnight.
morning. He's one of the morning guys, and the
Yo,
post.
okay, hold on. So I hang out with my buddy Dan. He's a trainer. And me and him were hanging out at his house. And I think I left at like 5 p.m. because I go to bed at like 6 if I'm gonna sleep. It's gonna be around like 6. He goes to bed early too, because we both get up like midnight and shit like that. Um, so I knew I had to get up at the gym at midnight. And I wake up and I have 14 missed calls on my phone. And it got a bunch of texts, and one of them's my boss, and they go, "Hey, Serena's calling, trying to find the trainer Dan, which is a friend. Obviously, I was hanging out with him that night. He goes, he's not answering his phone. We've had a bunch of people call him. He's not answering. Is he okay? And I was like, we're both old asses, so we're probably in bed. Like he probably just slept. And I sent him a message, and I was like, hey, someone was trying to get a hold of you. And he goes, dude, she called everybody, and they were all over there. And all it was about what rice should she eat. And I go, fucking it, because she had a competition that day, so it's a lot of nerves for that competition. And I think they just that was yesterday, yeah. So they just did the competition. I think she got a silver medal or something. Um, but he was like, "It's just fucking rice." And I just texted the manager. I was like, "Hey, yeah, I found out what the situation was. She just needed to know what rice she was going to eat for the thing." And that's the gym climate, man. The weirdest shit, dude. I put up on my Instagram story 5 kids in their 20s, probably 18, 19, maybe, all sitting on different pieces of equipment, all on their cell phones, all in a group, like a witch's coven. And I just took a picture and I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? And this shit I deal with. Everybody sends me gym memes, and I'm like, guys, you don't have to send me it. Do you think this is funny or relatable? It's all funny and it's all relatable. Every single gym meme is because I through my like 3 years and obviously 10, 11 years going to the gym every day, I've come across it all. And it's all real. It's all like it's definitely individual experiences, but it's all like that. So everyone knows me from either the gym or they know me, so they all know I work there. So I just get constantly a flood of just different gym memes and things. So it's always interesting.
No, man, it's cool because that post that my son, he's showing the progress of like 2 years, but like the post that he put was really about the positivity of the gym environment and of the support and the people that surround him that lift him up. And right, I've told you this on several, I just want my kids, I've try to teach your kids some good stuff and some good life lessons. And one of the life lessons is to surround yourself with people that lift you up and don't beat you down, right? You surround yourself with good people. And he's got this group of people, man, that they just lift him up, they support him, and it's his gym group and the gym environment. So and I got to meet some of a couple of the guys he worked out with when we were watching the Celtics when they were still in the playoffs. We got together and watched some basketball games, and yeah, I went up to, when we left, I looked at the guy. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "Thank you for making that environment so good." And he's like, "Yeah, man." We're all there to help each other, support each other, um, push each other, and just be there for each other. I don't know, man. It really touched me, man. That like, that just that kind of environment and just that positivity, man, because you just don't hear about it, man.
I'm
Like
waiting to
it's
get
nice.
Dan on Dan's one of the trainers, like I said, he's a friend of mine. I'm waiting him to get he wants to come on here and talk. And he was like, I gotta figure out what I want to talk about. I was like, I know what we gotta talk about. I go, we talk about the fitness influencers 100%. If we're gonna talk, we get bullshit about other shit, but let's talk about the fitness influencers. Because a couple people like to come in the gym, hey, do you have any advice on this and advice? I wear hoodies all the time, so you can't really tell I'm like ripped or anything. So when people follow me on Instagram, they see my Instagram, like, oh shit, like I didn't know this was like. Usually, I put up a gym or like a flex or something in the morning or something like that. And just as like I'm fucking around, I usually put something stupid like me riding my invisible bike, and it's like with my tricep like this and like something like that, like just something stupid. And so someone come in and they had put on their story of like it was a fitness influencer guy who was calling out other fitness myths or memes out there. And the guy had said, "This is the bullshit you don't listen to." And it's Joey Diaz, Uncle Joey, who talks about wake up, motherfuckers. Today you're gonna go after and they're gonna suck your dick. You're gonna make them like that's his motivation. He's a stoner guy who has the best stories about being a volunteer firefighter in Colorado. And he would do cocaine and forget and sleep through the calls. And they said, Joey, you got to come out with these calls to us. He goes, I'm not going to another one of these because it's like the 80s. He goes, I'm not going out to one of these Colorado dumpster fires. People would get high on coke and light the dumpsters on fire. And that's all the calls you would get at 1 o'clock in the morning up in fucking like Colorado and Aspen or whatever, where the skiing resorts are and shit. And the influencer guy has said, this is the type of bullshit you don't listen to. And he goes, bro, I blend up that fucking banana because you blend up the banana, it's less calories than when you do it as a banana normally. And the guy goes, blending up a banana, it doesn't add anything calorie wise to the banana. That's a fitness myth. And then people are commenting like, oh, this is Joe Rogan's show. He puts out a lot of misinformation. I go, guys, he's a stand-up comedian that tells you about sucking his balls. He's not a nutrition guy. And the girl had put it up on her story and I messaged her. I go, hey, I know you're trying to get in the personal training rabbit hole, but let me tell you, this guy is a piece of shit you follow. He looked through his whole Instagram. It's nothing but calling out people that are like, what do you do to start your day? And it's a guy with a mullet and sunglasses going, I like to start my day off with 3 Busch Lights. And it's like, he's not the dude's playing a fucking character. Like but the people follow that person, think, thank you for giving all these wonderful inspirational motivational tips. So I just told Dan, I was like, Dan, if you come on, we're calling out these fucking people. And he goes, oh, Robbie, I got a story about this guy. And he named the person's name. And he goes, and it's a well popular bodybuilding guy who's like big in the whole bodybuilding thing. He goes, he used to look up girls' addresses on the gym membership thing and find their phone numbers. And he used to send them pictures of his dick to the girls back in the 90s. And that guy is now this 5 million follower Instagram bodybuilding influencer. And I was like, okay, maybe I have to leave out their names, but I'd be more than happy to talk to you about this. So we get really interested in that. And he's gotten into some big arguments on social media with some of these influencer people because the people he trains are legit. Like I would trust Dan's work over anybody. But a lot of these people are like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to buy this program. Dan's like, I'll fucking give it to you for free. Like he's been in it since he was like 17 years old, working at the same place, doing this and he trains all these girls that win competitions and stuff like that change their life. And me and him just bullshit. And he'll be talking about like, dude, tell me about the Kennedy stuff. And I'm like, I'm not fucking talking about it right now. We'll talk about it later. And he's interested until he listens to the show. But it's interesting to me because like I would like think about doing personal training, but that's a really hard thing where it's like there's not a retirement. There's not. I mean, who retires now? You don't really have a safety for it. But I'll be ready to have him on the show to really share some experiences and stuff like that. Because me and him see so much of the gym bullshit that goes on, and it's like it's a really good environment. It really is if it is a positive one. And me and him, since we work there, we try our best to make sure it stays a positive environment. You'll get in this summertime now, so you get the gym guys, the young kids that are in there slamming stuff. I'll walk over and be like, don't fucking do that again. Like, excuse
Yeah,
me?
so
Like, I
so
work
yes,
here. Don't do that again.
yeah, so like I said, I'll leave you obviously names. I mean, like I said, I'm in Indianapolis, but like so it was just cool. My son, uh, personal trainer is actually Seth, which is my nephew, right? So that's his cousin. Uh, so that's who has basically been his mentor the past couple years, and he actually left the gym that he started at, and he went to another gym because he found out the owner was, yeah, doing inappropriate things to the female, people that were going to the gym. And once he found out and it came to light, he actually left the gym and went to another gym.
It
So
happens more often than you
no,
think,
when
sadly.
I heard about that, because when I saw him, I was just, hey, I was like, why'd you leave? You were there for, I was, why'd you leave? And he told me like what happened with the owner and what he was doing. I was just like, oh, I was like, wow. I was just like, holy shit. You see that shit on Netflix or who you see these documentaries with these people that do this shit. I was
I
like, holy
see it
fuck.
every
Like,
day in real life. I'll
no,
see
I no, I
usually
know.
we
It's
get
just
old people wearing sunglasses watching like a young girl. like work out. And they're wearing the obviously the gear to want to be looked at. But I'll snap my fingers. I'm like, hey, dude, like we don't do the toxic, like weird vibe environment. We've had to kick people out for doing stuff like that. But then if I'm benching and there's a billion other spots you can go to and they pick the bench right in front of me to do their underhand like this, so your ass is right in your face like that, and it's like, where the fuck do I look? And it's like you're looking down at the floor, and it's like, and then they'll be looking up in the mirror, and like you can tell when someone, if you make eye contact with someone in a mirror, they're looking at you. So like I look up and I make eye contact with the person.
It's got to be the worst.
It's
No,
like,
but
all right, I'm just done benching.
I just thought it was cool that, you know, he found out once he found out the inappropriate stuff that was happening, he just left, right? He left, he went somewhere else and wanted to keep the environment and everything super positive. So like you were talking about, it could be, you know, when you find that, man, you don't compromise it for no reason, right? I mean, dude, that was his job, right? That's it. That's how he makes a living. My nephew's a personal trainer. That's how he pays his bills. That's how he makes a living, right? So it takes guts to just fucking leave,
And
man. And
like I said,
to,
I'm at the front desk, so I usually say good morning to people when they come in. But you know the number of people that have headphones in, so you just say good morning and you hear nothing back, and you're like, damn. And like towards the end of the day, I'm just eventually at this point, I'm like, I'm not even saying good morning anymore. And Dan's like,
gotta
why?
wave, dude. Visuals, right?
They
Visuals.
don't
Say,
do
hey,
that
how's it
either.
going?
They'll look at the floor and walk
They'll
out, and I
just look at
have
the
to say
floor.
good
They
morning,
got
or I
their
have to
phone in
say
their face, and they're like, are they like that?
you got yeah. So it's like, what do you do? And then the one time I don't say anything is the one time they go, have a good one. I go, fuck. I was
that's
like,
why.
damn.
That's why you still have to do it every single time.
I've snapped on some, and I know it's probably gonna be like this summer, but one dude did something. I forgot what he did. Oh, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. He hovered around me, like the whole gym's empty. He went like where I was doing dumbbell presses, and this guy had a grudge on me since I yelled at his friend like a couple weeks before, saying you got to put shoes on when you're walking around the gym. You don't walk around here barefoot and work out. And he like looked at me and he just dead eyed stared at me. So this guy hovered over me. Like, I mean, basically, I could like in my peripheral see him right here above my head, basically walking around and then get to the bench right beside me. I just grab 65 dumbbells. I just drop them off to the side and I move over a bench. He moves over to the bench I just moved from. Now you're baiting me.
Yeah.
And I go, what the fuck? He gets up in my face. And dude, I was so close to swinging. I told him, and he goes to put his hand on me. I just slapped his hand down and shoved him back. I go, don't you stay at a distance if you're going to talk to me, but don't get in my face like that or we're going to have a problem. Then his buddy walked him out. The morning I told my manager about it and they look him, he's 46, did that shit. And I go, this is what happens. The one people you get is, and this is what you got to warn your son about. Just because you work out and you flex once in the mirror and you see, oh, you got a little bit of muscles and all, whatever, don't think you can take people. You don't want to do that. There's plenty of people out there now that'll just stab you, shoot you, do any of that type of stuff. The muscle thing, it happened. We see it every summer. I'm going to see it so much this summer. I'll probably have some great stories to tell you, but I see it now. Kids 17 years old that were clearly drinking had came to the gym at 1 o'clock in the morning and there's 3 people on the elliptical. I'm one of them and had just shouted at the people on the elliptical going like, hey, what's up, party 1 a.m.er, and just screaming like that. And I just took my headphone out of my ear. I go, do you guys both have memberships here? And the guy goes, yeah. And I go, I fucking work here. You don't do that. That's part of your gym rules. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be security, but also I'm thinking about the environment of the people that are like, there are people that go to the gym at 1 o'clock in the morning that either are on drugs or they're really there because they're self-conscious. So when I'm there and my normal hours, I've just always gone. I like it when no one's there. You don't have to wait for equipment and shit. When someone's like, a 400 pounds on the treadmill and they don't like it when people are in there and they know me. So they're comfortable with me. But then you have someone coming in screaming and slamming weights around and yelling at other people. That creates a toxic environment and where I've seen people leave and not come back. And I feel for those people. So I want to make sure it's a positive environment as much as possible. That means when someone comes in and they scan and then they're trying to get their scanner card out and they go, oh, fuck this. And then go over, I just go, what's the problem? What do you have to complain about? You're 20 something years old. Relax. Life's too short to be pissed off like that. So it's like trying to find the balance and people still stay pissed off. And at the end, they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry about that. I was like, I get it. But like, I'm not going to yell at you for not scanning in. I've seen you before. So just do your workout, get the stress out, enjoy life a little bit, laugh.
And once again, like we've talked about a million times, like, yeah, dude, exercising, even for me, like I told you guys, I'm now doing 30-minute total body workout, and I'm doing yoga. Dude, yoga is
Strengthen them ankles. Yeah.
I'm doing vinyasa yoga, but dude, man, like it's like I said, I'm not doing treadmill no more. I'm doing total
No more.
body, and yeah, no, dude, so before we started, I told him the story about how I went somewhere like last weekend, and I did a lot of walking, man. My legs were hurting, and
These
I thought to
boots are
myself,
made for
yeah, and I thought to
walking.
myself, fuck, 3 months ago, my legs wouldn't have been hurting because I was still doing the treadmill, but like I'm not doing any more treadmill stuff. And what's awesome about my exercising now, the doing the total body, I was telling, dude, I'm toning my shoulders, my core, my legs, like everything's getting worked out now. And then doing the yoga, doing all the stretching, the vinyasa and stuff. Oh man, it feels great, man. I'm actually doing okay. So my total body workout is 30 minutes, and then I do 20 minutes of yoga. So now I'm doing 50 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week. I was doing an hour and 10, hour and 20 minutes on the treadmill 4 to 5 times a week. I'm doing less time now, but I'm doing more, I'm working out more things, and I'm maintaining my weight, and actually I'm actually toning my body a little bit, which is actually pretty nice. I mean, I'm still skinny, but like I don't know, man. What I'm doing now feels better than what I was doing.
Yeah.
Now I can't go and walk all day now without my legs hurting, but it's a fine trade-off. So I feel really good, man. Right now, like I said, the yoga, man, dude, the yoga has pretty changed my life, like tremendous.
I'm happy for you, man. It's good talking to you again too. I missed you.
Yeah, man, I don't have right. I've been out of the podcasting and the YouTube now for a while, but like me and you know, we've known each other for a long time. So
One of
I
the
miss
first. Well, one of the first since I started doing Zoom.
yeah, like I missed I miss doing this. And I've even told you, man, if I ever text you out of the blue and say, hey man, let's react to some videos, or let's talk some Star Wars. I still have everything, obviously. I actually still have all my podcast stuff where I can post stuff everywhere. Um uh I've been playing more music lately, which is awesome. But like, yeah, man, you never know. I could come out of the blue and do something here or there. It's just my brother. He's gotten so busy with his job, his new job and everything. Like it's just never gonna happen again with him. So it's pretty much all on me if I want to do something or not.
Well, you might have to book an appointment with me, or at least pay the $25 processing fee. I show up to appearances. I always love it when someone's like, "Yeah, I can only talk about Bigfoot, but I charge $50." I was like, "I'm not fucking paying you $50 to talk about Bigfoot, you son of a bitch."
Yeah, man. Once again, I love talking to you. I love you, Robbie. You're my brother. You're my brother. I hopefully I can plan on. I haven't told you, like, so I think we're still on air, but like I would love to come and visit you in Maryland. You can off the air. I can tell you about. I would love for you to come visit me. I do have a spare room now again for you to come visit me.
Woo!
If you want to.
Let me pay rent.
Uh,
Let me pay rent.
but yeah, man, like I said, it's crazy. You're one of my closest friends that I have. You live in Maryland, I live in Indiana.
Well, now it's
uh
just getting sad.
you're a good guy at the
I'm
end of
not
the
a good
day.
guy. Don't
You
tell
are.
people
You're a
that.
good
Stop.
dude. You got good content.
It was
You're a
great talking with you,
good
Mike. I
person.
appreciate it. I don't know what links I'm
Wow,
going
you
to
can't
link
even
in
take
here,
a
but
compliment.
hell no, I'm
Wow.
deflecting. This is what I do. Okay. Thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank Podcast. It's been a pleasure talking with you again, Mike. Always welcome back on my show. Some of the best conversations. You can check Mike's past episodes and see how
Yeah,
we've
check it
evolved.
out. All at Sith Talkers, all on YouTube and on iTunes, Spotify, everything. Go check out past Star Wars podcasts and check out some crazy reaction videos on YouTube.
Nothing
Check it out.
beats the one episode we did of Sith Talkers where it was me, you, and your brother. And we are like, it's the Brady Bunch. And we all just started looking at each other in different windows. That shit was hilarious.
So look, some of my favorite episodes are with you. We had the podcast when I was doing the podcast where we talked about the rails.
Oh yeah.
about how there's no rails on any of the bridges, like on the Death Star.
It's
It's
like, how
still
much money did they spend building the thing, and they don't put up fucking railings? Like, oh, it's out of the budget. I'm like, okay, fair.
no, it's just there's some great conversations. I remember the Hoth story you came up with the frozen people, the rails. So dude, I had a lot of fun. A lot of
I'll
fun
link
doing
some
that.
of those episodes in the details for people to be able to click on and be able to check it out. Just let everybody know we had a structure to the show, but eventually, Mike realized that I don't do good with structure. So he was like, I'm just going to create a whole thing called What If? And, we're not going to have a plan. We're just going to talk about stuff. So some of them led into some interesting points.
Which is very difficult for me. If you want to go back to ADHD, OCD really quickly, I like everything structured. I like everything planned. I like having everything in front of me. And so when you say, Mike, we're just gonna like improv for an hour, I go crazy, right? Because nothing is like structured, but it
And
always
I'm
works
I'm
out, man.
more the type that if like I have a plan to do something and then the house is on fire, the first thing I'll go, wait, my quiche, and I fucking run back in the house and grab the like, no, get the dogs out. I was like, no, the quiche first. You gotta save the quiche. I was craving that earlier, and but I'll link those in. Mike, it's been a pleasure. Thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank. Stay tuned for our next episode.